Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're looking at something that is incredibly powerful, but also surprisingly simple. We're talking about the art of everyday observation. We usually think that building our brain power or developing our minds means sitting down with a massive, heavy textbook, right? Or listening to a long lecture in a super formal setting. But what if the absolute best mental gym is literally just right outside your front door? Seriously, what if the secret to becoming a brilliant thinker relies simply on training our brains completely outside of a traditional classroom? Well, that is exactly what we are going to explore today.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to honestly ask yourself right now, where do you actually practice your thinking skills? If your brain immediately goes to a desk, a quiet study room, or, a school environment, you're definitely not alone. We are totally conditioned to believe that highly structured environments are the only places where the real learning and thinking actually happens. But as our source material reveals, that assumption kind of limits us. It leaves a massive amount of your brain's potential completely untapped, mostly because it totally ignores the vast learning opportunities that are just hiding in plain sight during your normal daily life.
Section 1. Beyond the classroom. It is officially time to break out of that ordinary, confined world of structured learning and step into a much broader arena. Look, we almost always associate focus and instruction entirely with the classroom, a place literally designed to force our attention. But let's contrast that with your everyday routines. Think about all those things you do on autopilot every single day: walking to school, sitting down for dinner, or just doing your chores. The profound point here is that mental practice can, and absolutely should, happen everywhere. You really don't need a desk to train your mind. You just need to be fully present in your daily routines, treating the unstructured world as your primary training ground.
Section 2. The Super Detective Mindset.
So, how do we actually pull this off? How do we make the shift from a passive participant to an active observer? Well, consider this your call to adventure. You're going to need to adopt a completely new persona to maximize the potential of those daily routines. Basically, a super detective is an individual who actively applies observational techniques to notice specific details in their everyday environment. Now, for our explainer today, this isn't some child's game where you're out solving crimes. It's really a serious mental model about being hyper-observant of your surroundings, whether you're navigating a super busy city center or literally just standing in your own kitchen. It's a deliberate choice to snap out of passive consumption and become an active data gatherer. I really want you to let this idea sink in for a second. Transform ordinary moments into mental exercises. Think about how powerful that is. A true detective doesn't just sit around waiting for something extraordinary to happen before they start paying attention. They look at an ordinary playground or a boring kitchen counter and they see a mental gym. By actively engaging with your environment like this, you're taking the completely ordinary, easily ignored moments of your day and turning them into an active, rigorous workout for your brain. You are literally reclaiming all those lost hours spent on autopilot.
Section 3. Engaging your senses. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it shifts us right into the practical, actionable training ground for our detectives.
So, how do we actively engage with our environment on a daily basis? Well, it all comes down to engaging your senses, and we can do this through 3 simple steps. Step 1, look for colors. Step 2, listen for sounds. And step 3, notice flavors. Sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But seriously, think about the last time you were out playing or sitting down for dinner. Did you actually stop to analyze the complex flavor profile of what you were tasting, or were you just rushing through the meal while checking your phone? Or when you were walking outside, what specific frequencies of sound did you genuinely isolate and hear? By asking yourself these exact sensory questions, you snap yourself right off of autopilot. You ground yourself in the present moment and start analyzing the world with true intentionality. This means actively looking and listening all around you constantly, even if it's just noticing the birds right outside your window. Your sharpest observational skills definitely aren't just reserved for high-stakes situations or fancy professional environments. You can use them every single day, absolutely everywhere you go. Even the most mundane, quiet little tasks become this vital opportunity to push your environmental awareness. It's all about that constant, gentle practice in totally diverse settings. And over time, this deliberate sensory engagement completely rewires how you interface with the world, making you remarkably attuned to nuances that everyone else is totally missing. Section 4. The Cognitive Payoff.
Okay, so we've talked about what to do and how to do it, but here is the underlying why behind all these fun daily observation exercises. So the crucial point is that this practice isn't just some idle pastime. It has real, tangible benefits for your brain's architecture. First, it strengthens your cognitive abilities, totally enhancing your memory and your attention to detail. Second, it fosters effective thinking habits. Doing this consistently every day helps train your brain to be a significantly more critical and agile thinker. And finally, and this is super cool, it creates perceptive and skilled communicators. By consistently absorbing all the specific details of your environment, the subtle colors, the layered sounds, the distinct flavors, you're actually building a much richer, more detailed vocabulary of experience to draw from when you interact with and explain the world to others.
So what will your inner detective notice today? I want to leave you with that provocative challenge, because now you have the tools. You understand the required mental model, and you can clearly see the massive cognitive payoff that comes from this regular, intentional practice. The very next time you step outside, or transition between tasks, or honestly, even just sit down for a meal, I challenge you to turn on that active observer mode. Look, listen, and taste with real purpose. I guarantee you, the ordinary world around you is a far more fascinating mental gym than you ever realized. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep practicing and stay intensely curious.